Hey, what's up, everyone? I had a comment on my video on how to analyze numbers on the properties from at it's Steven XD, and he wanted me to go over not only how I've ran numbers on a past one of my properties, but also what tools I use to run those numbers, which was a really good question. So Steven, thank you for the question. I am going to do exactly that. I'm going to go through how we walk through the numbers using one of my actual properties, and then I'm going to actually do it for you using the tools that we use. So when I'm looking at a property, there are a few numbers that I have to know. I have to know them really, really well if I'm going to not only make money, but not lose money, more importantly. The first is the purchase price. That one's simple, how much you're going to actually pay for the property. The second one is your rehab budget. How much are you going to spend rehabbing that property? That's going to give you your all-in price, your purchase price plus your rehab price. So the property that we're looking at today, that I bought it back in October of 2024, the purchase price was $100,000, and the rehab budget was $30,000. Okay, so our all-in price is going to be $130,000. The next number that you have to know on these properties is the ARV, or the after repair value, and we use a tool called homegeniusrealestate.com. Red Bell Real Estate is what most people I know call it. I'm an agent. I'm a real estate agent. I have access to the MLS, so I could use that as well. But I really like Red Bell Real Estate, and we're going to walk through why, and I'll show you exactly why. But no matter what tool you use, you have to know exactly how much your property is going to be worth after you're done fixing it up. You have to be very good at getting within at least 5% of what that number is going to be when you're done fixing it up. It's going to determine everything else. I'm going to know that I can get a rental loan for 75% of that after repair value, as long as the rent will support that, which we'll look at shortly. Then I'm going to have to know what that rent is, both what the market value rent is, meaning if I just open it up to anybody, and then also what Section 8 is going to pay for that rent. After I know the loan amount, I can figure out what my loan payment is going to be, my principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. How much utilities I'm going to pay, which I'm only going to pay utilities typically if it's a Section 8 rental. I'll pay water and sewer. And then that will give me what my cash flow is going to be on the property. So if I have all of these numbers, then I can know going in very, very confidently if it's a good deal for me or not. Obviously, surprises can and will come up. But if you have these numbers dialed in, you should be keeping those surprises to as minimum as possible. And most of the time, you should come pretty close once you get pretty good at this. So I'm going to walk through how we get through all these numbers. First, let's look at the actual property we're going to look at here. 2625 Bulin. And this was a property. I'll just pull up a few pics here before. It needed basically everything. It needed a new roof. It needed new windows, new furnace, new AC, new water heater, new floors, new paint. Kitchen needed remodeled. This was the kitchen before. So full cosmetic, and then a lot of the big ticket items like roof, windows, HVAC. And this is an 1,150 square foot house. So for me, we budgeted this project at $30,000 rehab. That may seem very low to some of you, especially if you're in a high cost of living area. Number one, we're in a lower cost of living area in Columbus, Ohio. But also, we do this so much. We did 20-something properties last year. So our contractors give us very good deals on these prices. So that is a nice thing. Once you get this dialed in and you're doing a bunch of them. Our roofer, for example, did 9 roofs for us last year. So he did this roof for $5,000 or $5,500. I don't remember exactly offhand. But that's significantly cheaper than most people are going to get a roof for. So that is a nice thing. When you start doing a lot, you'll get those prices. But either way, no matter what you're going to pay, the important part is to know that. Okay, if you go in and estimate a rehab budget at $30,000 and at $60,000, you could be in big trouble. You could lose money on these deals. So you have to know, if you've never done this before, you don't have experience, get your contractor, find your contractor you're going to work with, and have them walk the property with you. But you have to know what those rehab numbers are going to be. Again, more pictures here. Just a mess, just general cleanup. And then you can see we came in almost exactly on budget, just under actually, $29,250. Redid the bathroom, just reglazed the tub. New vanity, new floors, new paint. That kitchen that you saw, all we did, we kept those cabinet bases. We put new doors on them, and then they paint the bases, and then they keep the countertop, and then just glaze the countertop as well. So this turned into a really nice kitchen for minimal cost, doing just the doors and keeping the bases. I would guess we paid about $1,800 total for this kitchen, meaning counters and cabinets. New appliances, those cost $1,200 combined. You can see it turned into a really nice, clean house, okay, for $30,000. But the important thing was I was right on the rehab. You want to bake a little bit in. Usually I'm not going to be that close to being right. Sometimes I'm going to be 5%, maybe even 10% over. But you got to avoid being 50% over. Those are the big things. So get good at figuring out those rehab numbers. So again, purchase price $100,000, rehab $30,000. We expect it to be all in at $130,000. The next big number that you have to know, you have to get very good at figuring out what the ARV is, the after repair value. Meaning after you fix this property up, what would it be worth on the open market? If you were to sell it, what would it be worth? Not because you necessarily want to sell it. If you're like me, you're probably keeping it as a rental, but it's going to determine what your loan amount's going to be and how much cash you're going to have to keep into this deal. Okay, my goal is always to not have any cash in the deal. Two things I always look at. Am I going to be able to not put any cash in? And is it going to cash flow? If it does those two things, then I'm probably going to buy it. Okay, so how do we determine that after repair value? This is where we use this homegeniusrealestate.com Red Belt Real Estate. Okay, you sign up for an account. I think I pay $90 a month. It, to me, is the best tool out there for analyzing this. I'm going to put in all the numbers here, just put in the property here. The nice part is if it's already been on the MLS before, as soon as you start to type it in, it's going to come up, and then it's going to fill out all those details for you. 4-bed, 1.5 bath, 1152 square feet. It knows the lot size, what year it was built. You have to decide how many months to go back. I always look 12 months. You can do it shorter, you can do it longer. I like to do 12 months. Okay, once I pull that up, it is going to show me a list of properties that have sold on the MLS over the past year. And you want them to be as close to that property as possible. Certainly within a half a mile. I prefer to be within a quarter of a mile, and I want to find as many as I can, honestly, that are within a tenth of a mile. So like this one right here, this 2589 Buellin Ave, it's got to be right down the street. Same street, only 0.06 miles away. This is a phenomenal comp. Now this one is a 3-bed, 1 bath. Mine's a 4 1.5, so an extra bed and an extra half bath. And mine is 350 square feet bigger. This one has a garage. Okay, mine's significantly newer. Mine's 19 years newer. It's sold for $190 for a price per square foot of $212. Now the nice thing here is, remember, we want properties that are fixed up. So I want to look at the images. It lets you pull up all the images here, back on the market, inspect and read. So it looks like it fell out of contract at one point. Pull up. So this is pretty fixed up, right? Yeah, really fixed up. It looks really good. Really good. I think it's a pretty good comp to mine based on cosmetically. They have a little fancier backsplash. They have the tile tub surround. That's great. The big thing, it has a basement. Mine does not have a basement. Now for a rental property, I don't want a basement. I like it better this way. But for value-wise, it is worth more with a basement. However, you can see there, their furnace is not brand new. My whole HVAC system is brand new. Overall, mine has one extra bedroom and an extra half bathroom. Theirs has a basement. Those are the big differences. It's probably pretty close to a wash there. This is a very good comp. It's right down the street, and it is overall a very good comp. So I'm going to leave that in there. I'm going to check it. By checking it, I'm going to put it in there. Okay, this next one, 0.09 miles. Again, right down the street. It is a different street, but it's right down the street. This is a 3 1.5. So again, one less bedroom, but same bathroom size. This has a 2-car garage. Mine does not have a garage. This one sold for $210. Again, $212 per square foot. So almost exactly the same there. That's a good sign. It's being pretty consistent. From the outside, it's nice. It looks like they painted that. Looking here, good job. They did a good job on the rehab. All right, it looks very good. They did some carpet. We have LVP throughout. They have, again, nice backsplash. This is a flip, so they did a little fancier remodel than we did. This one has a basement. Again, mine does not. Mine does have the extra bedroom. I like it. It's a good comp. They have some stuff we don't. We have some stuff they don't. That's what you're looking for in a comp, if you can't find exactly the same. I like to find 3 comps, okay? The next closest one, this one's 0.17, but it only sold for $130. So I want to look right off the bat. Why did it only sell for $130? My guess is it's not a fixed up house. So I'll pull up the pictures. And curb offers only, this is a cash line. It's a rental property. And it's only renting for $11.90 a month. So it's a rental property offering or renting for way under market value, and also isn't allowing people to go in without making an offer. This is not a comp. This does not work as a comp. I'm not going to check it. Again, I want repaired houses that have been fully remodeled. Again, $125,000. Why is it only $125,000? Again, investment opportunity. Anytime you see investment opportunity in the description, that means that it is not fixed up, generally speaking. Okay, this is junk. This is complete junk. Not a comp, okay, because it's not fixed up. We want after repair value. Let's find one more comp here. I like this one. So this is great. This is a 4.1.5, just like mine. Sold for $235,000, less per square foot than the other ones. Let's look at the pictures here. Okay, so it's an interesting house. It's not a ranch like mine and the other comps were. Very nice. They did this as a flip. Really nice house. Okay, but I'm gonna use it as comp. I run those 3 comps. I have it calculated. Okay, and it's going to come up that they expect my after repair value to be $228,000. $198 a square foot based on those 3 comps that we're using. Now, I always like to be conservative. I think 228 might be a little bit high. So I went in and I figured that the after repair value based on this would be about $220,000. Okay? So hopefully I'm right. You always want to be conservative here. It hurts no one except you to get aggressive on this, to try and say, oh, well, I'm going to make it super nice and I'm going to get 240. That only hurts you, okay? Because if you're wrong, then your loan, you're not going to get as big a loan as you want, and your rehab budget's going to be too high and everything else. So be a little bit conservative, but you should be able to get very close on that after repair value. When you have that after repair value, I know that I'm going to get a DSCR loan that's going to give me 75% of that after repair value as a loan. All right. So my first loan, I'm going to get a hard money loan. They're going to give me the $130,000 to buy the house. I'm not going to put any cash in. My hard money lender is going to give me $130,000. I'm going to buy it. After I'm done fixing it up and they say it's worth $220,000, I'm going to get what they call a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio, that they're going to base it on the rental numbers of the property, and they're going to give me 75% of that appraised value. So I'm going to take the ARV, multiply it by 75%, and I can get a loan for this of $165,000, assuming I'm right on the ARV. Okay, so if I'm right on all that, if I did all of my numbers correctly, and I keep my rehab where I wanted to be at $30,000 or less, then not only will I not have any cash in the deal, I'll be able to pull out $35,000. Now there's going to be loan fees and everything else, so let's call it $25,000 to $30,000. Meaning, I never put money into this property, right? I got the hard money loan for $130,000 to buy it and fix it up. I get the cash out refi to pay off that loan, and then at closing, I'm going to get to take home that $35,000 minus whatever the loan fees. Let's call it $25,000. I'm going to get to take home $25,000 that I can do whatever I want with. That's completely tax free because it's just a loan, right? And then people might say, I hear this all the time, like, well, you're over leveraged. You're taking out everything. You don't have any money into this deal. You're over leveraged. Like, no, that's not the case. If this house is worth $220,000, my total loan amount is $165,000. I have $55,000 of equity in this house. So who cares that I don't have any of my own cash into it? I have $55,000 of equity. Over leveraged would mean I have a loan for $220,000 when it's worth $220,000. That's what over leveraged means. Over leveraged does not mean how much cash you have in it. Okay, that's a separate tangent. But this is how it works. This is the exact type of property I'm looking for, where I don't have any cash into it. That's the biggest thing. I never want my own cash into it. But even better is if I can take cash out of this deal, which if I was right on these numbers, then that's exactly what it's going to be. They're going to give me money back. Okay, so we had the after repair value. The next big thing we need to know is how much we're going to be able to get in rent on this property. There's 2 tools I'm going to look at here. The first is to find the market value rent, meaning if I opened it up to anybody, how much could I get? So I use a tool called Rentometer for this. Rentometer.com, I think, is the address. There's 2 accounts. You can do a simple free account that gives you a little bit of information. I pay for the pro account. To me, it's well worth it. I think I pay $10 a month, $12 a month, something like that. But to me, again, well worth that price. So I type in the address here. You start to type it in, it'll pull it up. And then 12 months, yeah, I want to look, just like with the comps, I want to look 12 months back at these rentals that they're going to look at. This one's big building type, okay? I want to make sure that I'm comparing the same type of property. If it's an apartment, select apartment. But I'm looking at a house, so I only wanted to compare to houses. I don't want it to compare rent to apartments in this case. Rent, it doesn't matter what you put here because you're trying to figure out, but you just put your best guess of what it's worth. Or we could get, I'm going to say $1,800. Beds, baths. You'll find out once you start running these, the baths are very important. People pay more money for more baths. Okay, and I'm just going to hit check rent. Don't worry about the minimum price, maximum. So it's telling me here that the median rent for this house in this area is going to be $2,068 a month. To me, that's very high. I'm suspicious already. So what I can do, because I have the pro account, I can go to the pro report and it's going to show me what comps it's using. And this is very, very important. So where's it coming up with this? So this is the first comp, property A, 2633 Bulin Ave. This is fantastic because it's literally the house right next door. Okay, 4-bed, 1.5 bath, and the exact same square footage. This is the house next door. I can go to property details. I can see a picture of it. It's that house right in the middle there. Guess what? That's my house right to the right. So that's perfect. What's not perfect is it's only getting $1,465 a month. So the best comp available is only getting $1,465. Now, what I know about that house from being next door to it is, number one, it's not fixed up. Number two, you can see that little AC unit in the window. I have central air. So I think I'm going to get more for my house. So it is good to know that, especially to know that that's probably too high, what they tried to tell me it was worth. The 2063 is not going to get that. Right? But I do think it's going to get significantly more than 1465. Some other comps here, 2591 Diane Place. It's quarter mile away. They got 1800. It's a little bit bigger, but it's a 1.5. So quarter mile away, 1800. Doesn't have pictures. Usually you can see a picture of the house. I don't know why this one doesn't, but that's a good comp. $1,800, quarter mile away, exact same beds and baths. The rest of these start to get too far away. I don't want to go over a half a mile away if I don't have to. I certainly don't want to go 1.74 miles away, 2 miles away. And that's where you start seeing these high rents. That's completely skews these numbers. I want to look half a mile or so away. But this is tough because it's only given a couple choices here. I think 1,700 to 1,800 is the market rent here. I know the area a little bit, so that's a little bit cheating. But you want to get as many as you can to determine the actual market rent. Zillow has their Zestimate that you can use. So yeah, get good at using Rentometer. Usually you'll have more choices in this for the comps. The other tool I'm going to use is Section 8 rent. And I did an entire video on how I figure out how much Section 8 is going to pay. So go back and check that out if you haven't and you want to know. But basically for Columbus, Ohio, for the Columbus Housing Authority, this is how they determine how much it's going to be. It's going to be based on zip code. So I got to find the number of bedrooms here at the top. This is a 4-bedroom. And then I got to go down until I find the right zip code, 43207. So 4-bedroom, 43207. You can see I underlined it because I used this sheet when I looked at it. It says they're going to pay $1,771 a month. Now, if you watch that video, you know that's not the true amount they're going to pay, unless I'm paying all the utilities. But in this case, I have the tenant pay all utilities except water, sewer, and trash. I cover those. So I know that right off the bat, they're going to reduce that by a couple $100 to reflect the utility allowance. So that takes us to $1,571 that Section 8 will pay. But there's a third component, and that is how much the tenant makes an income, because you're going to be able to take 10% of their income and add that to the total rental allowance as well. Okay, so this is, you've got to know Section 8, you got to know your housing authority. But in this case, I'm going to call it, I budgeted when I bought this house that I could bring in $1,700 a month for rent. Okay, we'll find out how close I got here in a second. The next thing you want to know is how much your loan's payment's going to be. Assuming that you check out right at $220,000 and that you get the full 75%, you get a loan for $165,000. How much is your mortgage payment going to be, including taxes and insurance? So for this, I use a DSCR calculator. You can look them up. There's a million of them. This is the off-market DSCR calculator. I'll put links to all these tools in the comments, in the description. So the rent, let's call it $1,700 a month. The taxes, so I look these taxes up ahead of time. Just go to your auditor site. We'll give you the exact number on taxes, $2,300 annually. Insurance, I know that basically all of my properties are in the same price range, around $175 to $250. I know my insurance is going to be right around $1,400 annually. There's no HOA here. This would be a refinance. The estimated value, so it says as is value, but I'm using the ARV value after it's fixed up. So we're going to call it $220,000. Existing debt, all right, so how much did you get a loan for to purchase and fix it up? So that was $130,000. I'm going to go for 75% loan to value. Okay, and that is going to so that determines that again, that loan amount, $165,000, like we talked about. And then you got to know the interest rate. I know right now I'm paying right at 7% for most of my properties. Okay, so I go down here, the principal and interest is $1,098. And then I can also see that prorated taxes $192 a month, insurance $117 a month. So if I add all of those up, the $1,097 for principal and interest, $192 for taxes, $117 for insurance, $1,406 would be my total payment in this case. Okay, so I go back here, $1,406. Okay. Finally, I need to know how much I'm going to pay in utilities. If the tenant's paying all utilities, this is nothing. Again, in my case, when it's a Section 8 tenant, and this is only if it's a Section 8 tenant, I am going to cover water and sewer. I go over why in my Section 8 rental video, but I'm going to usually pay that with them. I'm going to say it's going to be about $65 a month in this case. Okay, so if I get all of these numbers right, if I nailed all these numbers, my loan ends up being $165, my rent ends up being $1,700, then my payment's gonna be $1,406, and my utilities gonna be $65. I'm going to cash flow $229 a month before any maintenance. But again, this house is going to have everything brand new. The roof's brand new, the windows are brand new, the appliances are brand new, the HVAC, the furnace, water heater, air conditioner, windows, all the things that usually cause maintenance, they're all brand new. So for the first 5 years or so of this property, it should be very low maintenance costs. So I think that cash flow is going to be pretty accurate as far as what my actual cash flow is while this tenant's there. So that's about $230 a month, which is solid to me. If it's $200 or more a door, then I'm interested in it. Additionally, this property is going to, like we talked about, I'm going to get $25,000 to $30,000 back in cash without ever having putting cash into it, and I'm going to get equity right off the bat of $55,000 even after pulling that cash out. So to me, this is a very, very good deal. If I did my numbers correctly, then this is going to be a very good deal. Now, where did my numbers actually come out? Well, the ARV they appraised it at $218,000. Okay, so right at where I was at. If I can be within $2,000, I'll take that all day. Let's see what that does to payments if I switch that to $218,000 and then switch that to by. Okay, so 163 is probably not going to change things much, but let's just add it up just to see the exact number. So 1,087, 192, 117. So my actual payment, 1,396. Okay, and the rent that I actually ended up getting was $1,757 because the tenant that I got had more incomes, so that increased it. So I'm going to be cash flowing $300 a month on this. Again, before maintenance, but there should be very, very low maintenance right off the bat here because everything's brand new. And so far there has been no maintenance. Knock on some wood here. I don't want to get a call right after I record this. All right, but to me, this is an excellent deal. I'm going to get $55,000 of equity with pulling out $25,000 or so tax-free. I'm going to have no cash into the deal, and I'm still going to cash flow $300 a month. I will take this all day long. If a newbie asked me if they should take this deal and it was going to be the same numbers, I would say all day long, this is phenomenal. All right. The key was that I was right on my numbers. That's why it worked out. My rehab was right on the money. My ARV was within $2,000. My rent was within $57, and I actually erred on the low end. Okay, so this deal went as I expected. Do they all go this way? No. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Your rehab's going to be off 10% sometimes. Maybe something major comes up and you're 20% off. But guess what? If I was 20% off and I spent another $6,000 on this, this would still be a home run deal. Okay, so that's why I get conservative. I be conservative with the numbers wherever possible, but I make sure I know those numbers. If you use these tools, if you get really good at running that ARV with Red Bell Real Estate, if you get really good at using Rentometer and understanding how Section 8 payments work, if you get really good at running the mortgage calculator so you know exactly what your payment's going to be, you should always know what these numbers are going to be ahead of time. You should always come out very, very close with very few exceptions. Okay, so use these tools. Get good at them, do them over and over again. I'd be getting on wholesalers lists and looking at every single one that came through and just running numbers on them over and over and over again, even if I wasn't ready to buy yet. If you want to get in and start doing this, get good at running those numbers, and that's what's going to determine it. So Steven, thank you for the question. Hopefully this helped. If you guys have any other questions, if anyone has questions, leave a comment. I will answer any question you have and probably make an entire video about it. All right, thanks.